Nuwara, he will take that route. Person B is traveling to Bandarawela via Ratnapura, Haputale, Diyathalawa, Bandarawela. Now, when you travel on both these routes, you will see this vegetation and landscape. You will see tea plantations. What you see is similar. But are you going to the same place? No. You're going to two different places. Similarly, what is expected from sustainability reporting is different from what is expected from integrated reporting. But what you see when you do both these is the same. But as Aditi told, now GRI reporting guidelines are also trying to, because GRI itself is a part of IIRC, G4, I think, is going to address and close this gap. It can easily be closed as if we can kind of modify the. I was not prepared to talk on this. When I saw this only, I thought I should mention this. If we can close the gap between where we are going. I think I need to skip this because due to lack of time. This actually describes the difference between financial reporting and integrated reporting. There is a business case for integrated reporting also. I've just kept this because at the end of the day, you want to communicate well with your stakeholders. If you communicate well with them, they will recognize you as a well-run company. So in order to communicate well, you need to give not only historical information, you have to show your capability of creating financial value. Then stakeholder control and societal control, because as for our company, I can say, we run on the premise that our destiny is in the hands of our stakeholders, because they can accept us, they can reject us. If our stakeholders reject us, we have nowhere to go. So this is a very good instrument to show that we are a responsible company and you have every reason to be working with us. The third reason is, as a responsible company, if we show that we are good, we are responsible, and we are strong, by showing our non-financial capital, we can attract resources. I'm not going to cover this also because Aruni covered extensively strategic focus, connective. When preparing integrated report, these are things that you have to take into consideration. Then we have the capitals that we have to take into consideration when we prepare integrated report. Financial capital is rupees and cents. Manufactured is all fixed asset stocks. Human capital, we all know. Intellectual capital is patent rights and so on. Natural capital, water, soil, natural resources. Social capital is what comes from our society, our customers, employees, everyone comes from our society. Right, so some future needs on integrated reporting. We need a framework. We need to develop our measurement mechanisms, overcome problems that may be faced because these conglomerates, they have different businesses. So reporting on non-financial information becomes a little more complex. We should be prepared to reward performance on non-financial performance also. Risk management has to be more inclusive and so on. Let's look at the Sri Lankan experience. Indrajit, is it all right if I take another 5 minutes? Thanks. Sri Lankan experience in integrated reporting. The first integrated report was done in 2011 March by DEMO. That was the first integrated report in Sri Lanka. And at this point, I must acknowledge the contribution made by our our business partner producing the annual report, Smart Media. Their knowledge base was very good, and their contribution to developing the methodology was immense. Then, year ended 31st December, we had the HDFC report. Then 31st March 12, John Kills and DEMO. The other thing is, just because a company claims that they have prepared an integrated report, I don't think anybody needs to accept, including our report. I think for it to be called an integrated report, it has to be integrated. It has to meet the requirements. It has to it has to deliver what is required of an integrated report. Then this is the cover of our, I think in order to explain the Sri Lankan experience, I am not able to speak for the company or the other two companies that I mentioned. I'll speak a few minutes about our own internal integrated report. This is the cover page of we are an engineering company, that's why we have nuts and bolts, and we have a marriage, you know. To marriage, this is to show that we are married to our stakeholders. That's what the picture depicts, because stakeholders are very important. Employees, customers, suppliers are principals. Without them, we are nobody. Now, these are our strategic imperatives. We have 8. This is the thread that binds all components of our annual report. This covers all our stakeholders, and what we say is, if we look after our stakeholders, if we deliver their expectations, financial value will be automatically created, and it will be distributed with all stakeholders, not only shareholders. If you look at our value-added statement, shareholders get less than 5% of the value that we add. The rest goes to suppliers and other people. So, if you look at our management report, sustainability objectives, risk management, enterprise governance, conformance, enterprise governance, performance, everything is described in this context. These are the 5 main sections of our report, and I'll skip this because this is the context part. This is what is explained. We try to explain the connectivity between strategy and performance. We try to explain our responsibility of stewardship, trusteeship, and accountability. We are managing the resources of our stakeholders, not only shareholders. All our stakeholders have put their money into our business. So we are responsible to every one of them. The management report talks of each strategic imperative. As you see, you talk about customers. In the strategic imperatives, we have the stakeholders. So we talk of customers, business partners, employees, and everyone. Sustainability objectives also have an objective for each strategic imperative. I'll quickly show how it happens. This is a Word file. This is a Word file. If you see the first column, you will see our strategic imperatives. Although this is a Word file, this is out of our annual report. We have the strategic imperative. Then we have objectives for each strategic imperative. Then we say whether we have achieved, and if we have achieved or not achieved, why. So, the thread that binds the whole report is our strategic imperative. If you look at our corporate governance report, again, we have given our compliance levels on each strategic imperative. Quickly, if we look at one, the first column, you will find the strategic imperative, then conformance aspects and performance aspects. That is, we are looking at governance also through the lens of strategic imperatives. Right. Risk management is also the same way. Right. This is the last slide that I have. We also get assurance. We have three assurance reports. One from KPMG for financial reporting, one from DNV, our business partner IC Santoshia, for non-financial reporting, and we get the GRI application level certification from GRI. Our report is a A+ report. To be a A+ report, you need to cover certain things of GRI guidelines, basically everything. So it can be A+, A-, B+, B-, but we decided that we'll go for a A+. So I think that's all that I have. I hope I have given you some information and some food for thought. Thank you very much.
Even a cup of tea couldn't incentivize him to shorten the speech, but of course he met his time. And that's a passion I think Suresh has for this area of work. And we are quite impressed by the work you've done, Suresh, and we all know how much you have taken to this initiative for your company. So friends, now we come to the questions, session of questions. We've already got some questions in. And we have probably the mic there, probably can take up. Dr. Aditi, you can start with the answers. Oh, you want to come?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I have one suggestion from Mr. Khatri to include in the first slide, I think, that I used of looking at how business world is changing, and he suggested that there should be collaboration here. And actually, Mr. Khatri, I did not elaborate. I have one aspect of the business world changing on the aspect of partnership, where it was more of isolation, and now it has moved to, cooperation and collaboration. Yeah. There is a second question from Mr. Abbas Uddin Khan, FCA, Bangladesh. He has asked whether prescriptive-based reporting is more effective than a principle-based reporting. Here I have one kind of, from my experience, dealing with GRI since 1999 and being involved in advisory and training amongst many companies and organizations. I see that prescriptive-based reporting could actually lead to a lot of questions, whether that framework would be applicable to a particular sector or a particular company or an organization in the local context. And therefore, the whole question about global reporting framework being applicable or not applicable by considering local context could be the key question. And therefore, a principle-based framework, which is like GRI, globally being accepted, is because of the fact that the framework is there as a suggestion, but organizations can decide to take up measurement, reporting, and change across different sustainability aspects depending on the sector, the constituency that they belong to, and also the local context, because some of the indicators would be more important than others in North America versus maybe Sri Lanka and India. For the other question that I have is, what are the first steps you would recommend to a company getting into sustainability reporting? I don't know who has asked this question, but the first steps are, I think Aruni mentioned that whether reporting should come first or strategy should come first. I actually quite, and she actually mentioned that there should be strategy in place before reporting comes. I would like to contest that. And also my answer and response to this, this question which has come, I think reporting can play two roles. It can either play the role of documenting the strategy, the policy, the action, and the performance of the organization. It can also play a very important role to give the foundation of the organization to review on the current status and then move into developing or reflecting on its current strategies and to imbibe environmental and social and economic issues into that strategy to move into sustainability strategy. So therefore, reporting is not like the end in itself. Reporting is not kind of, a straight line process where you start with business strategy and then do some things and then you report. Reporting can be also used as the first point of entry. And I know of, Mr. Khatri is from ITC. I know that since 2003 or 4, that ITC started to look at GRI guidelines to say that we have many things around environmental health and safety and social accountability. In fact, theirs was the first company in India to have social accountability 8,000 in place. So what the chairman and the MD was looking at is to how to consolidate all these efforts and initiatives through something which will give them a comprehensive ability to move ahead. And ITC is one of the companies to take up reporting basing on GRI guidelines to give them that movement towards sustainability strategy. There are many companies who use reporting from both sides. So that's my answer really. The fourth question that I have is that, will integrated reporting framework be going to replace G4 guidelines and IFRS? And I think, from my perspective, I would like to give a little bit of history if I can. What I think Mr. Gunaratne was mentioning about integrated reporting and sustainability reporting is very, very interesting. That when sustainability reporting came into being in 1997 onwards, the core objective was very much the same as integrated reporting today. But what happened down the line, if you look at the closer look of the kind of reports that came out, because businesses were having to deal with civil societies only. There was this big stakeholders called civil societies, and the media maybe sometimes pushing business organizations to come up with sustainability reports. Slowly, investors started coming in, very, very slowly. Maybe the last 7, 8 years, they were looking at sustainability reports. But I think down the line, sustainability reporting somewhere did not bring in the financial professionals on board. And the guidelines remain to be sustainability reporting only on environmental, social, economic aspects. And if you look at the GRI guidelines, the disclosure is not about environmental, social, and economic, but the disclosure is about strategy, about management approach, about governance, about stakeholder engagement, and then about indicators. But sadly enough, the GRI guidelines was the first one on sustainability reporting, and the easiest way to disclose by companies was to just look at the indicators and just report, but never link the indicators, the performance indicators and the impact indicators to the business strategy, management systems and approach. That is where the division kind of widened slowly. And then the good news which happened was the Prince of Wales's project started thinking about how can we make this more and more effective in companies. And I think the financial standard setting bodies now started working together with GRI and other sustainability experts to develop sustainability reporting and make it integrated to move towards integrated reporting framework. So if you talk about whether they are going to be replaced, I don't think they will be replaced so soon, and neither should we. As leading individuals and experts here, we should still look at, what reporting, financial reporting standards had been there for so many years. It has its own merit and acceptance. The GRI also, in a couple of years, for the last 8 to 10 years, also gained acceptance. They have this strong foundation on the sustainability aspects of disclosure. So I don't think it will be replaced, but you never know. Maybe after 15, 20 years, the world would say that, let's remove all these reports. Let's concentrate on one report. But everyone on this panel, if you have noticed, said that what we need is integrated thinking and integrated strategy. If that is not existing, integrated reporting is again going to be a failure. Yeah? Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Aruni.
I'd just like to take up where Aditi left. I totally agree with her. If there's no integrated thinking, there cannot be integrated strategy or reporting. And even on the point where the integrated, I said that integrated strategy must come before integrated reporting. I think in the example you gave, the strategy was there, probably not articulated, and there are many companies, particularly the apparel sector in Sri Lanka that I see, and some of the hotel companies. There are some that report very well, but there are more that do a lot of the work, but don't report it. And I'd like to urge those companies that have the strategy already in place to please report it in order to reap the benefits of what you have sown, to get the dividend on your investment. Do report it, because there are many companies that are doing wonderful things that just don't get reported about. And Sri Lanka really is looking for differentiation at this point, and this is one way in which we can do that, all of South Asia for that matter. I've got one question here. And, sorry, there are two. There is a misconception that integrated report is getting all the reports stapled in one binder. Please clarify. It's not. It's putting it in context in the right places. I think Suresh's analogy of the cricket scorecard is good. Why do we like the cricket scoreboard? It's so concise, it's easy to read. It's all there on one page. And we can get all of that, plus the rest of it, okay, maybe comes in through audio on the radio or commentators. But it's easily obtainable, easily understandable. We do not want separate reports. We want one beautiful whole. One of my colleagues actually likened it to a pizza at one point, where you, instead of having the meat separate, the dough separate, the cheese and the sauce, you put it all together, you bake it, and out comes a lovely pizza. And it's a beautiful whole. And that's the thinking behind an integrated reporting, that we do away with the silo reporting. So definitely it's not a stapling together. It's making it one story. Then the next one is, are the integrated reports of Novo Nordisk, Philips, and other Sri Lankan companies are integrated reports in the true essence, or are they also just multiple reports? No, they're not multiple reports. They've made a good effort to make it an integrated report. There are many elements of the previous two reports that are there. Obviously, you know, the chairman's statement, the financial statements, the risk management, and all that are still identifiable. And a lot of the wording may be the same, but what they've achieved is, in Philips' case, it's more concise, it's really well written, beautifully, as in cross-referenced and all of those, you know, the numbers here match with the numbers there, the story remains true to its origins, and that's it. It's more in the qualitative part of it that it's really come together. Can they go along, you know, can they evolve more? Yes, absolutely, but they've made a very good start.
Thank you, Aruni, once again. Suresh?
If I may add a little bit to what Aruni said, the kind of report that was suggested in that question, where so many reports have been stapled together, I would call it a combined report rather than an integrated report. In an integrated report, I will talk in the context of our annual report. We had those 8 strategic imperatives that I showed you. Everything that is inside that report, from performance, sustainability objectives, corporate governance, enterprise performance aspect of enterprise governance, conformance aspect of enterprise governance, risk management, everything has been analyzed and reported in the context of the strategic imperatives. That is why we call it integrated report, because every aspect that is reported on is linked to strategy. There may be reports who are combined reports who call them as integrated reports. But I think the reputed reports like Novo Nordisk, that's a beautiful report. That's a very, very good report and very concise, very small. I think if you read, you will understand the difference between a combined report and an integrated report. You should read it to understand. Then I have one question, and it's coming from none other than Santosh Jayaram. He's an expert in this area as well. The question is this: isn't it time we drop the term non-financial and consider a term like extra-financial? It's a very good question. Now, for an example, I think this is what he means. This is more, I think, than a question. This is a suggestion, actually. For an example, we spoke of the different types of capital. One of them is intellectual capital. Another is a social capital, which social capital includes customers and so on. Actually, these capitals can be monetized. For an example, patent rights can be spelled out in financial terms. Similarly, the value of the customers can be spelled out in financial terms. That's why company valuations have 80% as so-called non-financial capital. Only 20% is reflected in their physical and financial assets. So, because this can be monetized, I think Santosh is suggesting, why do we call it non-financial capital? Yes, there is something in it. Something to think about. But I really don't know whether the correct word is extra-financial. We need to see what it should be. Thank you very much, Santosh. Food for thought.
Okay, thank you. I think we've come to the conclusion of a very interesting and a good session. Thanks for the learned speakers for sharing their experience and imparting their knowledge, which was a very tough area, I would say, in that little bit of time. And I'm sure thanks for the questions which came in, the suggestions, which probably will be taken on board. And we thank all of you for your patient hearing. And once again, for the speakers, for the wonderful thoughts they have presented to us. And I'm sure we could take away. I myself benefited as much as I'm sure all of you. Please give them a round of applause once again.
To hand over the token of appreciation for our session speakers, now I invite Mr. Rob Thompson, CP Australia, to hand over our token of appreciation to the stage. Mr. Indrajit Fernando. Dr. Aditya Haldar. Ms. Aruni Rajakaryar. Mr. Suresh Gunaratna. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. That ends the first day session of the SAFA-CMA Management Accountant Summit 2012. And we invite you for tea, and it's served at the foyer. Thank you.